Hi, my name is Agata. Welcome in Agata's Cottage. It's time for Friday Sews. Hashtag Friday Sews was started by Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room. Under this hashtag, you will find a lot of lovely vlogs every week. We talk about our makes, our plans, a bit about our life. Sometimes there is a haul, so there is plenty to choose from. It's like long distance tea or a coffee with a friend. While I remember what am I wearing, it's one of my favorite makes ever, Rhapsody blouse by Love Notions. I hacked this pattern during my collaboration with Tiffany from Hosier Handmade last year. Actually, I think almost a year will be soon since our first collab. And I love this blouse. So instead of doing ties, I did little joint V here, according to the hack on the Love Notions website. I did sleeves with the elastics and I shortened the whole blouse, and I love how it turned out. Question of the week is, are you a cook? I love cooking. Cooking is my first love. I actually started cooking when I was 12. There's a funny story about that. My mom was stay-at-home mom until I turned 12. She went back to work around that time, and she worked shifts. She told me one day, I want you to cook traditional Polish chicken noodle soup. It's almost like a clear broth with noodles cooked separately. It's relatively easy to cook. I wasn't entirely sure what spices go into that soup, so I added what I thought was right, and including caraway seeds, and they definitely don't go well with chicken noodle soup. So we had to turn it into sauerkraut soup, other traditional soup. And that day my mom just took out her old cooking book. She told me, that's the cooking book, go look into instructions and choose, basically choose your judgment in with the ingredients and stuff like that. In fairness, we were preparing stuff with mom earlier, but I never cooked anything on my own from scratch. So that's something that I remember. But from that moment, I start cooking for family almost every day, and I haven't stopped. I love cooking. I cook a lot. I love baking. I love meal prep. I love freezer cooking. You name it. Cooking videos are my second favorite type of videos on YouTube, and there's so many lovely YouTubers actually doing cooking videos. So I'm always torn, should I watch something sewing related or cooking related? What's my favorite thing to cook? I don't have anything favorite. I love cooking a lot of things. I love trying new things. Not always successful, but I do try new things. Thing that my family loves the most, it would be for Alice, it would be Polish dumplings with cheese, onion and potatoes. Americans might know them as pierogies. I don't buy them in shop, I cook them from scratch, and we do eat them differently than they are served in States. So basically you just eat them sprinkled with a little bit of sauté onion, and they are perfect on their own. I usually make them in hundreds, and Alice loves them so much that if she could, she would eat them for every meal of the day when they are in the fridge. On the other hand, Alice's friends love my pancakes, like my crepes. Apparently, I'm known for my crepes and my chocolate chip cookies. So that's my favorite things to cook, because I know that people for whom I'm making those appreciate them and they're happy. I guess in that regard, I'm kind of people pleaser, but there is nothing that brings me more joy in cooking than seeing family happy and eating everything they have in front of them and enjoying themselves. Now, what I have been making. It was a busy week with sewing plus other things, but I didn't achieve everything that I was hoping for. So I did some alteration for friend's daughter. It was a minor thing. It was just a bit of unpicking to sort things out. So that was one of the things. The other thing I did was a basket for, or like a fabric box for my paper patterns. I will put a picture here because it's already downstairs and it's, you know, loaded with patterns and it's quite heavy, so I don't want to carry it. This box was kind of winged project. Let's say at some point I was extremely frustrated with myself. So what I did, I measured the inside of my Kallax unit, and I discovered that I can have a box with two patterns beside each other, and that would be perfect width. So I did this 30 centimeters by 38 centimeters. Then I added on the template, like I draw it on the paper, on the fabric straight away. I decided I want the box to be max 15 centimeters tall, so I added all around 15 centimeters. So, you know, that was fine. I cut out the similar thing from lining fabric. I did the interfacing and I start sewing everything together, and it was floppy. It was as floppy as it gets. So I was like, okay. And I did use heavy stabilizer. It wasn't working. So I thought, okay, maybe I will add the foam. But when I was trying to sew through between the foam and the fabric, it just wasn't going well. So I decided, okay, it's not what I need. I need to look into something else. And there it was, an old box from Amazon. And I thought, I'm gonna see if I can use that. I didn't have enough to use for the whole box. I have enough for the bottom and for the two longer bits. So I used for the two front bits the piece of back foam just wedged in between the fabrics, so it's not sewn into anything, it's just a little bit floppy. But that worked wonders. Then I did the binding all around. It wasn't the easiest thing, and I was like, okay, it works. It's not the perfect solution. And during a week I discovered that there is a better solution, way quicker and way cheaper. I have those big boxes from the cat's food. So my cats love a certain type of food. Actually, love is understatement. They like it unless they are feeling fussy, then they don't like anything. But anyway, I have those big boxes and they are quite narrow. They are perfect width of an envelope with the paper pattern with just a tiny bit on both sides. And you know what I thought? Why I bother sewing something from scratch where I could just trim it down so it's open on the top, secure all the edges so nothing breaks down, and either put nice paper on it or glue the fabric to it, and it will be quicker. So that's what I'm planning to do for next week, because I still have few patterns that I want to put into the box. So that will be my solution for next week. The next thing I worked on was a bag. So I mentioned last week that I'm planning to use tutorial by Sam from Let's Sew Sparkle with Sam. That was highly recommended by Rachel from the Fresh Seams, and I did make the bag. Okay, it's here. So the fabric that I was choosing was the curtain fabric, like a blackout lining, and it's definitely not suitable for the fold back. It's just too thick, but I did manage to squeeze it in, and here's the back. Okay, I used webbing from Ecobee for the handles. This fabric, I tried to do handles in it, just didn't work, so I decided that the webbing will be fine. and I did the pocket as some suggested, and it looks okay, uh, but it was very hard to press and keep slipping. So I think I will try to use different pattern for this fabric, but I will definitely make more of those bags just in the cotton, because this fabric is just not perfect. It's very hard to press. It was fraying like crazy, so the French seams are good options on it, but as I mentioned, it's just too thick for being folded, so it's challenging to fold it properly. But I hope my sister-in-law will like it and it will be useful to her. Anyway, I love Sam's tutorial. It was so much fun to sew with. Few times I was like, oh yeah, you know, I know what I need to do because I watched the tutorial. Then I thought that I remember what I supposed to do, and then I was like, oh no, I did it wrong. I need to unpick something. So I was laughing at myself that I was too eager for my own good. The next thing I did was the pack holder. So I use McCall's M6051, and that's the option D. And here's my pack holder. It's gigantic. So there is a funny story about that. We have, I'm full of funny stories to them as today, am I? So we have very tiny garden, and I just have 2 lines for drying. And normally I usually put things on the drying rack and just take it outside. But that day it was very windy, and I thought, you know, I will hang everything on the drying lines. I have some towels and stuff like that to dry, so it doesn't matter that it's very windy. It was lovely sun, although extremely cold, like, I don't know, 6 degrees maybe Celsius. So I hanged everything, and I was keeping an eye on the weather because there was a warning there might be some rain on that evening or that afternoon. So I've been cutting out stuff, doing things, and then I brought something upstairs. In the 2 minutes that I went upstairs, it started raining, and it was proper April shower, like, it was just ridiculous. So I ran downstairs to pick the stuff because they were almost dry and get them inside the house and finish drying them. And I was getting annoyed with myself because I had to keep putting the pegs back on the line. And I was like, I just need to make that peg holder that I have been trying to convince myself to make for last year. So I was like, okay, that's it. I'm doing it now. I'm leaving everything else. I'm doing it now. You know how it is when you get annoyed. So I took the pattern out of the envelope, cut out the pattern pieces, and you know, I knew they were big when I was cutting out, but I don't know, like, something didn't stick in my brain that it will be that big. So we have 2 lines. I have maybe 30 pegs. This is like for 200 pegs. So what I'm considering doing, like, pattern was easy enough to sew with. I used interfacing, like the thick interfacing, so it's very stiff, but that's what I was going for. I finished the edges with the Specky Seamstress bias binding, and I love it. It's just, the fabric is just cotton I had in my stash for very long time, and I had meter of it. I used majority of this fabric. I use it for both lining and the outside, and I added tiny little label here. So what I'm considering doing is taking small kids hanger, because inside there's just a normal adult size hanger, which was probably will be like that, and I will probably just sew it down and make it smaller and cut off the 2 wide edges, because I don't need such a big pack holder. It wouldn't be suitable to my garden and it would take too much space. so I'm just gonna make it smaller. But it's hilarious how even though I'm sewing, I can see things like, you know, I will look at something and I know if the pattern will fit on the fabric or will not when I see the pattern pieces. I can tell what furniture will fit where without measuring. And when I see the length of the fabric, I can roughly estimate how much fabric it is. But I looked at those pattern pieces and it didn't occur to me that it will be this size. It's just weird. That was like, I don't know if I had temporarily like a blindness or something. It was just, I couldn't stop laughing at myself the whole afternoon. I do love how it turned out, but it's just gigantic. So um, I will just make it smaller. I will show you next week what I did. There is some thread here sticking because I had to unpick. You know how it is when you read the instructions and then there are pictures and then you look at pictures and then you forget something and you just go with the pictures and then you don't realize that you actually should read because the picture is for the next step. So yeah, that's why I needed to unpick. Alice was like, "Mommy, just slow down," but I was so annoyed about the rain and getting everything wet, not fully wet, just a little bit wet, that yeah, I don't think that any reason was present in my head. So what else I made? I made hoodie for Kris. So it's here. I will pop the picture of the whole hoodie somewhere here. So it's the same pattern I've been using for hoodies for him all the time because I'm not allowed to use any other. He just loves Ellie and Mac chill tea hoodie. I hacked it. So I did, like, I still use the version with color blocking, but I also have the version where I put all the pattern pieces with the color blocking on top of each other, and I remove the seam allowance, basically overlap them, and traced it and created the full length pattern pieces. I added big pocket as usually. Sorry. So here's the big pocket. So it goes from side to side. It has gray ribbing. I did had purple ribbing in very similar shade to this one, but I thought it would be too purple, so I added gray just to balance it out. And I have gorgeous label from my friend Mary from Mary Sews and Inspired Leather. I will leave link to her shop down below. She sent it to me last year and I just love it. It says one of a kind and they are handmade labels. I did little hack for the court opening. I think it was on Patty Do Instagram page. I will leave link to that reel below. It's a little bit fast how it's shown, but if you watch it twice you get the hang of it. So I think it looks lovely. Inside is a little bit pink but it's just the remnant of the ombre jersey that I had in my stash and I just wanted to use it up. So Kris loves those hoodies. I used the brush French terry from Ecobee. I don't remember how much I used because for the pocket and for the cuffs I used the remnant that I had left over from the set that I made Alice last year. I do have a small bit left, so I'm thinking wherever I'm done with red and with grey for Kris, I will try to do a color block hoodie and see if I can get something squeezed out of all those fabric pieces. We will see. So it took a while. It took me 3 evenings and a little bit in the morning today. I accidentally put the bottom band other way around, so basically the front seam on the band was at sorry, the back seam on the band, you know, where you have a band in one piece and you put the seam at the back. I just put it at front, so I had a tiny bit of unpicking because I realized maybe after 2 minutes of sewing on overlocker, slow sewing on overlocker, that I did the boo boo. So I had like this to unpick, but you know how hard the overlocker thread is to unpick. But I'm glad how it turned out. I did a little bit more of slow sewing with this one. I was making sure that all the seams are pressed as I go, etc. So it took a tiny bit more time, but I love how it turned out. So I used this bias tape from Specky Seamstress. I just love using woven bias tape on the back of the hoodie. It actually helps secure the whole hood and keeps the neckline nice and tidy. What else I have to share with you? I got my Specky Seamstress subscription box this month. So I have 2 subscriptions with Specky Seamstress, the Label Collective and the Bias Binding Appreciation Society, or Bias Tape Appreciation Society. I also put an order for additional things, so I will show you the additional things first. I wanted this washi tape. It's just fabulous, isn't it? And what else I got? Okay, I got those labels made to measure. I just love them, and I have few makes in works or like in plans for other people, so I think that will be suitable. I got another kitty patch because I promised Alice I will make her a bag, and I want to use 2 of the kitty patches for a pocket. I got this flowery bias binding. I just couldn't resist. It's so cheerful and spring, and it just made me smile, so I had to buy it. Now the girls put into my box labels, so I got the certified member of the Label Collective, and I got certified member of the Bias Tape Appreciation Society, so they will go on my sewing machines. And now the labels for the Label Collective. They are those 2 labels. Actually, I will open so you can see them. Okay, so the main label is my new favorite make. Isn't that gorgeous? So you get, in the box, you get 3 of those labels, and then you get 4 of the smaller label. And look at that tiny sewing machine. Isn't that cute? I just love it. So the packaging, the stuff from Specky Seamstress arrived is 100% recyclable and recycled. So it's plant-based, biodegradable clear bags, and they're made in UK. So they're those tiny little bags. Actually, my cat loves to try to eat them. I don't know why. Not my cat, sorry, Alice's cat. Rainbow is Alice's cat. My cat doesn't do so silly things. And the bias tape that was in the box for the members is this one. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love it. It's just fabulous. So it's their popular pattern is the tape measure, and they just mixed in a disco into the whole vibe, and I just love it. Now, what are my plans for next week? So I'm planning to make a top for my sister-in-law in this fabric. I promised her this ages ago. I just haven't had the chance to do it. So that's my plan for today's evening after I finish editing. I think I will cut it out today and then finish it sewing tomorrow. What else? I will be working on my make for frocktails, or makes I should say. I have decided what I will be wearing, and I am going a practical road, but I hope it will be as fabulous as it is in my head. I will be also working on a blouse or blouses for the So April blouse sewing challenge, but about that I will record quick short video just after this one, so it will be available to view next week. So life updates. Same old, same old. I have some appointment though next week that I need to attend. You know, and normal household running stuff and school related stuff, but everything is fine so far. Alice and I went to National Stats last weekend and we enjoyed seeing all the little foals. I will put some footage from last weekend at the end of this video. They're just adorable, and there will be way more of them. The weather was horrible, like it was cold and it was raining often, but still we had fun. Tomorrow me and few of my friends are meeting in Carlow Fabrics, few of my sewing friends. So if you are in the area and you are interested in sewing, come over and join us. So we will be there from around 11:30. We are planning a bit of shopping and then go for coffee and cake or lunch. You may ask how my trip to the fabric store will affect my fabric buying ban and my participation in last sewing standing. So the last sewing standing rules are you cannot buy any fashion fabric in the lightweight category, and that's the category I said I'm in. So I am allowed to buy calico, I am allowed to buy lining, and that's what I'm going for. I counted yesterday was 75 days since I bought a new fabric, and that's huge for me. I think that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you will share in comments. Do you like to cook? Do you follow the recipe to the letter, or you are, like me, a wing it kind of person? I wonder, are you having any sewing plans for this weekend? I'm still waiting for your questions for 1000 subscribers Q&A. If you have any to me or to Alice, just leave them in the comments below. Have a wonderful weekend, and don't forget, clean your sewing machine and change your needle. Happy sewing! Bye!